Hello everybody, welcome back to another Kerbal Space Program video. In today's video, we are going to be doing another versus race video epic thing between the Starship on the left-hand side and the Space Shuttle on the right-hand side, which have both now gotten into the air and are going to go on their launches. Because today, these two vehicles are going to be racing to the moon and back. Yes, it is a very epic idea. And actually, this is a little more unique of my race video because they have two very different methods of getting to the moon. So Starship will be rendezvousing and doing refueling missions to get out to the moon, but the Space Shuttle is going to go on a series of 2 launches. It is going to be constructing a little payload in orbit, which will go out to the moon, and then it will come back after landing on the moon, and it will redock with the Space Shuttle, and then the crew will embark back on the Space Shuttle and land using the orbiter, as the SRBs are going to get ready to get drained off of the Space Shuttle, and Super Heavy is going to be done on Starship. You're going to separate these stages like so, and then we can get Booster Cam for Super Heavy because reusability very epic, and it looks like the Space Shuttle is already taking a little bit of an early advantage against Starship, but Starship does a little bit more thrust on its upper stage, so it could maybe catch up a little bit of ground as the Space Shuttle can continue to power its way into orbit, while Super Heavy continues on for its landing. So the first payload for the Shuttle's unit is going to be the transfer module, which is basically what's going to get the payload out to the moon. So after this launch, there will be a second launch of the Space Shuttle, which will bring up the crew as well as the lander module. And then once Starship gets into orbit, it will have a second launch in which a tanker Starship will come up to refuel it. But it looks like the Space Shuttle has just finished its burn right away now and is going to drift on up to its apoapse as the Starship with its lower TWR will burn its 3 vacuum engines and attempt to circularize in one giant big epic burn as Super Heavy has now lit up its engines to do its landing burn. Big ol' booster is now coming in for a very epic landing as Space Shuttle will get ready to circularize right about now. Super Heavy coming down, and barely with any fuel left. There we go. Kind of ran out of fuel right above the ground. A little bit hard touchdown, but hey, Super Heavy is down. And Starship is now past 2 kilometers a second as the Space Shuttle has fired up its OMS engines to do the orbital insertion as the orange tank has been ditched and is going to fall back down to Kerbin. And who's going to get orbit first? It looks like, oh, very close, very, very close. So Space Shuttle, just by a few seconds, has beaten the Starship to orbit. But the shuttle is going to go deploy its payload while we can crossfade now to the tanker Starship's launch, which is now in the air, and now the payload is deployed on the Space Shuttle. So now our second Space Shuttle, OMG, yes! It is now in the area of the 2 rockets on their second launches on their way up to the sky. Would like to quickly say, if you are enjoying the video, huge thank you. If you decided to subscribe, I'm like right on the edge of 10k subs. I have like 50 to go as of recording, so thank you everyone who subscribed. Huge thank you. 10k, pretty epic. And also we have Discord, so all that stuff. But really though, 10k subs, that's really cool. Thanks guys. And if you want to become a member, all that stuff, you can do Patreon. Epic plugs, that's what you do when you're a YouTuber. But we have both rockets in the air now. The Space Shuttle with its higher TWR with the SRBs attached is going to take a little bit of a lead against Starship as it is going to get ready to separate those SRBs as Starship separates Super Heavy, and we can get another booster cam, and there go the SRBs, and now Super Heavy is going to light back up and going to do its return burn or boost back burn. All the 2 rockets are quite close, but it looks like the Space Shuttle is just a touch ahead of Starship. It looks like they're actually basically very, very close to even as the Starship will begin to shut down its sea level engines one by one until it is eventually just burning the vacuum engines. Now, the Starship is going to be rendezvousing with the Starship currently in orbit, and it's going to be a tanker mission, so it'll transfer some propellant, while the Space Shuttle will be rendezvousing with the other already deployed module, and will be attempting to dock those, as Super Heavy has now have its grid fins out, and it's starting to spin. I don't know why the Super Heavy decided to spin this time, but there was some weird spinach, so that was fun. Space Shuttle now has its apoapse set and is going to get ready to do its orbital insertion in due time as the very spinning Super Heavy has started its landing burn. Oh no, is it gonna make it? Oh gosh, very intense. That's probably a bad side if it was coming in like that in real life. But hey, this is KSP and basically everything works because this game is magic. And touchdown. I say everything works. Everything, except for most things work. Kraken, man, it's weird. But now it looks like we have both vehicles just about in orbit, and now it's the time to do the rendezvous process, and then it's going to be time to get on to the moon after that. So, Actually, I thought this would be a good time to mention why I think doing a versus video between these two rockets is actually very fitting. I think the Starship and the Space Shuttle are actually, even though on the surface they look like pretty different vehicles, right? Space Shuttle is like a plane, and Starship is like a skydiver, basically. You know, they have very different purposes. The Space Shuttle is like the space station, and the Starship is like Mars, but they were kind of pitched as similar things in kind of a general area. They were both supposed to Space Shuttle, if you remember, guys. This is crazy. When it was pitched, it was like this amazing, rapidly reusable. We're gonna launch it 100 times a year. It's gonna be amazing. Space Shuttle. It's gonna be, you know, it kind of seems like Starship is gonna turn out to be what Space Shuttle was promised to be. It's like it's like the sequel. It's finally gonna happen. So that's why I thought it's a fitting comparison to do between these two, because it's like the shuttle is, you know, the shuttle was like the first attempt at rapid reusability, and Starship appears to be maybe the success. I don't know well, I guess we'll find out, right? But well, I've completely talked over the Space Shuttle's docking, which it has now docked, so it is a little bit ahead of Starship in the first bit of on the translunar injections are actually quite a ways into their mission, as the Starship will come in for a docking, you know, the butt-to-butt, boink-boink docking. There it goes, as the Wolfhound engine has been lit up on the transfer stage for the Space Shuttle's payload, which is going to head out to Zemun, as Starship will begin to transfer its propellant, and it will get ready to try and catch up some time on the Space Shuttle. One big advantage Starship has is it doesn't have to do any more rendezvous after this one. The Space Shuttle has to rendezvous its payload back in lunar orbit after it separates and lands. It'll have to reconnect the lander to a fuel tank, and then it will also have to re-rendezvous with the shuttle to bring it in for a landing. So Space Shuttle is ahead right now, but it does have some inefficiencies later on, as the transfer stage has now been ditched, and now we're going to use the bottom stage of the lander to circularize us around the moon. And then what we are going to do is I'm going to be ditching a kind of like mothership fuel tank. It's not really a mothership, it's just a fuel tank that we are going to reconnect with the upper stage of the lander, which is going to refuel us and give us enough fuel to head back to Kerbin. So the Space Shuttle payload has been deorbited, and the Starship is doing its translunar injection right now, as the Space Shuttles are ready down, or almost on the surface of Zemun, coming down just under 4 kilometers, coming down through 70 meters a second. Landing legs have been deployed, and here it comes. You're going to drop it down to 1 type speed, and here comes the lander, and Tango Delta, very epic. But Starship is not that far behind. It is going to get ready to do its orbital insertion and then deorbit burn, as the Space Shuttle is actually going to be getting ready to depart the moon in just a second or two. I said like moon and moon at the same time. Didn't really work out, but it's going to get ready to go in 3 there. Whoa, my gosh, countdown even work. It is already going. It's so excited. So excited to go, and it is now in the air as Starship has been deorbited. So Starship does have quite a bit of ground to make up. Let's see if it can do that as it lights up its 3 vacuum engines for landing. So some of you may say, hey, why is Starship landing on the surface of the moon? That's like a lunar Starship thing. 2 reasons. One, really lunar Starship, because the dust blasting is really an issue if you're trying to build a base on the moon, because you'd like blast moon stuff at your base, and that really is much of a problem. You're just doing a single landing. Also, I decided if we're using 1 sea level engine to do the final landing burn, and I feel like that's enough. And also my updated lunar Starship isn't quite ready yet, so that's also fine. Don't worry, I'm going to do an epic tutorial for you guys. It's going to be epic. But the rendezvous has been completed on the shuttle side, as the Starship has touched down, so that is very cool. Starship is now officially on the ground, as the shuttle payload has now done its propellant transfer and has done its ejection burn out of the mun, as Starship lifts back up into the sky with its 1 sea level engine to reduce dust particles, and then it'll switch to the 3 whatever they're called, vacuum engines. I know words, right? It's again like, I swear I always record these commentaries at like 2 a.m. I don't know what's wrong with me, but the Space Shuttle payload is now in low Earth orbit, or low Kerbin orbit. That is definitely not Earth. Lot less green people on Earth. Well, I guess frogs, but they're not people. I guess neither really are Kerbals. But it is going to try and do its rendezvous with the Space Shuttle right now. Don't have a lot of fuel left in that lander, so I'm going to use the Space Shuttle's OMS thrusters to do most of the rendezvous. As Starship has now made it into orbit, now it's going to do its deorbit burn, basically. It's ejection and the deorbit burn, because Starship can aero brake. Yes, aero braking, and then it can aero capture and basically just use aerodynamics to slow itself all the way down on the Kerbin. I'm going to come in for a landing at the KSP. Same with the shuttle, but you know it's already, it never left LKO. The Starship did, so it, differences in the systems, right? It's like quite fun comparing these. So yeah, Shuttle is now going to be rendezvousing with the payload, and I forgot to put a docking port on the Shuttle, so the Kerbals are going to have to do a lovely good old EVA to kind of they'll have to fly across, kind of like how they did it with the N1 and the Russians and the LK, where because when they did the Russian design for the moon, you would dock and then you'd have to EVA around because they didn't have an actual hatch because of superior Soviet technology. Totally. So Starship is now doing its first, or it's actually second aero brake pass right now. It's basically its deorbit pass. And it's going to try and get its trajectory set to land at the KSC as the space shuttle has got its crew reacquainted and is now going to do its own deorbit burn. And now we're getting into the final moments of the race, the home stretch, the finale, the epic part, the so much amazing part of Starship. I kind of deorbited a little bit too flat, so we're coming in very, very flat with Starship. Not unrealistically flat, but Space Shuttle is now coming in. It is now over the KSC Peninsula, but the Starship is not far behind, trying to speed ahead. And there it is. It looks like the Starship might just about pass the Space Shuttle as it crosses over the mountains. Space Shuttle has now lost most of its speed as Starship is going to get ready to transition into the belly flop now and start to cancel its horizontal speed. Space Shuttle is trying to regain some of its control. It's kind of spun out, but that's unimportant. Space Shuttle now coming into land, and there's totally not a Space Shuttle already on the runway that I forgot from a previous video. That's literally 2 videos in a row that I have a Space Shuttle left on the runway. I don't know. It adds some intensity. But Starship is now belly flopping. Starship's even landing on top of the VAB because that is epic. Space Shuttle landing on the runway, obviously going to drop it down 1 speed as the Starship is going to relight its 3 engines. Space Shuttle now coming in now just about over the runway. Starship dropping down to 2 engines, bringing the landing legs out. And the Space Shuttle is bringing its landing gear out. And who's going to land? Starship just off target. Space Shuttle coming in. Oh, Space Shuttle! Hey, Space Shuttle. Nice. Hey, good job, Space Shuttle, as Starship just drops itself onto the helipad like so. And there we go. It can meet up with its friend that I left on the runway. Well, here we go. Boop. Funsies. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and fade to black right about now. Say hi to all the members and say thanks to all of them. You guys are awesome. If you want me to come in, get the join button. Also, Patreon. If you want to do that, you can also do that. Quick disclaimer, I like to do it in these videos. These are really just for entertainment purposes. It's not supposed to be like an actual comparison between the Starship and Space Shuttle. It's just for the good old funsies. But that is where I say today's video, so, don't get too crazied up. OMG, this is unrealistic, or I mean, it all is. But anyway, that's going to be today's video. So I'd like to thank you for watching. See you next time. Please try to comment to the video. Once again, thank you for watching. See you next time, and bye!